Yeah, welcome back to AWS DevOps Lokesh Tech YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss very most important topic in Kubernetes, which is called as volumes in Kubernetes. Okay, so we'll discuss all these things, what is exactly volume and all. First, before that, just I don't want to beg you always. Okay, if you do really like and share, if you do really like my videos, definitely you will share and you will do subscribe. But that's okay. I'm not focusing that much on videos to like, share, and subscribe. All these things. Just simply, just reminding. If you do like, if you really like it, definitely please like it. Otherwise, just leave it. Not a big deal. So I'm not really focusing on this to like campaigning that kind of. I'm not that kind of. So just it will be useful for someone who is really needy. That's why I'm posting all these things. Anyways, thank you so much for support. So let's get into topic. Yeah. Yeah. Is it visible, guys?
Yes, sir.
How you all? Good.
You are doing good, sir.
That's great. Yeah. Uh, yeah. We are discussing already volumes in Kubernetes. So we'll discuss more deep dive into this. Okay. What is exactly volumes? Okay. Volumes in Kubernetes. Okay. So um, in Docker also, it is a very important topic. The same way in Kubernetes also very most important topic. So as really we have discussed in Docker, we have some concepts like PV. PV means persistent volume in Kubernetes. In Docker. In Kubernetes also PV concept is there. Okay, how Kubernetes works. Okay, basically container is very lightweight, ephemeral. I told many times this word. Try to grab what I'm trying to say. This terminologies. Okay, so this ephemeral, so basically container is very lightweight and lifespan is too small. Okay, in Docker it is a container. In Kubernetes it is a pod. Okay, it's a like lifespan is very less. Okay, less span of running entity. Okay, so pod we will deploy using deployment. So this pods, and inside this container one storage entity we need to allocate that container, whatever data operations like read, write, all. So all those to share in the separate storage. So to share that capacity, so we'll get by persistent volume. For example, I will take this pen here today. I'm not sure whether you guys are really understood or not, but I'll try using this. Anyways, for example, if it is, this is a pod. Okay, pod might have very it is very lightweight. Okay, is this working or not? Okay, lightweight. Okay, so pod anytime anything will happen. Might it get deleted. Okay, might it will be expired, deprecated, whatever it will happen. Correct. So if this anything might be happen, this kind of things in this. So for example, this pod, if you in Docker also, in AWS also, why we are attaching the volumes in AWS. If you don't have enough space, you don't have enough space, you are attaching extra volumes. Okay, so you are creating volume. Okay, that create after creating volume you are attaching this volume to the AWS. Okay, your storage. So that is called as bond. Okay, so mounting, sorry. Okay, that mounting we have seen in AWS, right, Yashwant? So same way, if if in this pod also, pod might have, it contains the data, correct? Might it be anything, it doesn't matter, don't think about what is in that data. Might it be anything? So you can say something, it might be there in this pod. Okay, so anything will be happen anytime. So might be deleted or deprecate or anything will happen. Okay, if pod deletes, for suppose in this case, if pod deletes or container will delete inside the pod, correct? Container will be there, that container might get deleted. Once again, hello, hello, is it any emergency? I'll call you back. Hello, I'm sorry guys. So if, for example, in this case, if pod got deleted, what will happen? Inside the container will be deleted, pod will be deleted, everything will be vanished. Is it right? If pod deletes or our container will get deleted, that pod, whatever we are using, okay, it will be vanished, right? Using it before. So for example, with this pod, excuse me, mm, yeah, with this pod, for suppose if I mount with the volume, okay, if I mount with volume, hmm? So whatever data is there, that will be mount with the volume. Okay, for example, if it is deleted, what will happen is this volume contain the data. That is called as persistence. Okay, if it is ephemeral nature, okay, if it is lightweight, okay, if anything might be happen, this persistence, it means, in general language I'm telling, persistence in the sense it's kind of permanent. Okay, you are keeping and you are believing that something will not happen with the volume. So that is called as persistent volume. So why volume? Volume is for storage, might be anything, okay, related to our Kubernetes, whatever we store. Okay, so whatever, for example, if it is deleted, this pod got deleted, so we can retain the data. Okay, container pod might be container pod. So whatever we stored the data before, we have stored all. Okay, so before we stored, so as usual, like if you create a new pod using the same volume, the pod can able to access the data in the persistent volume. You understood? So we never know pod, so when it get deleted, okay, so it can recreate also, it can delete also. So that's what, so whatever characteristics of pod it has, okay, to separate that and to maintain the storage separately, kubernetes we have a persistent volume concept. Okay, from Kubernetes cluster storage, means Kubernetes physical worker. Okay, like nodes inside the storage hard driver. Okay, hard driver will be there. So we can allocate the storage using the local storage. From the local storage also we can do that. So we can allocate the storage using network attached storage. Okay, we can do this ways and like that. From local storage also we can do that, and also using, so network attached storage, by using network attached storage also we can able to store the data. So that is called as SAN. Okay, persistent volume cannot delete even after deleting the pod also. This is a big advantage. This pod might get be deleted. Pod might get deleted, but this persistent volume, whatever the PV is there, persistent volume is there, that persistent volume will not get deleted. So whatever content is there inside, that will be safe. It will be save. Okay. So that is a big advantage for us. Correct. So which means if uh, if you decouple also, for example, if you do intentionally, if you decouple from the pod, the data will be preserved. I mean, I don't want to use this kind of words. What is the meaning? Preserve in the sense save. Okay. So one sec. Hmm, what is this? Okay. So, yeah, a persistent volume is a piece of storage provided in a cluster that can be dynamically allocated and managed by administrators. Okay, persistent volume is a piece of storage provided in the cluster that can be dynamically allocated and managed by administrators. Okay, PV provide a way to decouple storage from the lifecycle of pods, allow data to persist beyond the lifecycle individual pods. Persistent volume serves a abstraction layer between the physical storage and applications need a storage, right? So they enable applications to require storage resources without ending to know the details of underlying infrastructure. So to provision persistent volumes, okay, to provision persistent volume, we should create as like pod, and which means, for example, how we are creating the pod, the same way we have to create persistent volume 2. Understood? We have to create persistent volume 2 as like pod. How we are creating pod, same way we have to create persistent volume. So this creation process can be done manual and automation also. We can create persistent volume two ways. One is manual, the other one is what is automation. Okay. So we can create a volume manually as before in AWS, like um, AWS, Azure, okay, uh, GCP, Azure, AWS, okay. So like on demand, okay, manually on demand means whenever you required, you can able to create manually. You can able to create your volumes and you can keep, okay, in the cloud on demand based, okay, before, okay. So that particular, which means that particular manually created volume, whatever the volume is there, so that manually created volume, if you want to attach, so we need to another component. If you want to attach that, whatever we created manually, for example, we created manually this what is persistent volume. You just simply think if it is got created, so you have persistent volume, okay. Whatever created manually, that persistent volume, if you want to attach, so we need another component. You understood? So PV we have created, that is not final. If you want to attach that to, so we have another component which is called persistent volume claim, PVC. PVC, PV we can create, it will store. But if you want to attach that to, we need the other component which is called PVC, persistent volume claim. Okay. So okay, that's fine. Manually we can create whenever we needed on demand based, okay, that's fine, we will attach it that by using manual, that's fine. But how to automate? Okay, to do automate the storage class, okay, to do automate the storage class, like to for automation purpose, so to automate that, storage class will help. Okay, where are the storage classes? Maybe I did not copy. Anyways, that's fine. Storage classes will help. Okay, automation purpose, if you want to do automate, storage classes will help for any cloud like AWS, Azure, GCP, and other clouds too. Okay, they have to extend Kubernetes support and delivered storage. Okay, if it kind of, for example, this PVC will be there. Okay, persistent volume climb. So for that, if you want to do automate, so you need uh, classes, storage classes you need. These storage classes should be given by clouds, AWS, Azure, and GCP. Okay, this extension, whatever extensions are there, that section extension provisions should be provided by the clouds. Okay, so the storage, like it's kind of third party plugin. Okay, even Kubernetes should have that provision. If we run this Kubernetes cluster on the AWS, by using AWS cloud storage, we have to create a volume. You understood? Try to understand these points. So if we run Kubernetes cluster in the AWS, by using AWS cloud storage, we have to create a volume. Okay, so if AWS storage class, for example, if AWS storage class, then the disk will create. Okay, on the cloud platform, when we deploy, by taking the disk, we can attach with our pod. You got it? AWS, okay, that provision we have. Okay, in this AWS storage class, by using AWS storage class, it disk will be create. Okay, this disk will be create on the cloud platform, which is AWS, right? So when we display, by taking that disk, this disk, whatever disk is there, by taking this disk, okay, so we can attach this this disk to our pod. This is how we have to do. Understood? So if that that's how disk creates. This dynamic disk attaching process with the cloud provider can achieve. This is a plugin extra, this whatever this dynamics happening by to automate it, to automate this process and all. So this is kind of, it will act as a third party plugin. Okay, so storage classes will be separated cloud to cloud. Okay, maybe if it varies, like cloud to cloud, it will be varies. Okay, storage classes, every cloud provider has their own storage classes standards. Okay, so for example, if you take this, so I'll show you that. So this is actually uh, manifest file. Okay, storage class, this I have taken from for Kubernetes, but this will not works for the GCP and Azure. They have their own storage classes. You understood? Okay, that standards, whatever we have to pend according to cloud provider standards. You understood? According to that only we have to work on. Okay, so fine. How to access volumes in pod inside? So the, okay, for we got to know that volume is fine. Okay, volume is a kind of storage. What is persistent volume? Persistent volume is not deprecated, and it is not ephemeral, and it cannot be deleted until you delete manually and intentionally. This is not a kind of pod. Pod might be chance, there might be chances pod can be deprecated, pod can be deleted. Okay, but persistent volume we can able to create. So but that persistent volume is permanent. Whatever the data is storing, whatever the content is there, that content cannot be deleted. Okay, that is called persistent volume. Okay, that's fine. But where, how to create the volume in pod, right? Inside the pod, how to create the volume, that's what we have to question. Like read. Okay, read write process. So disk in the sense, you might have seen uh, last 10 or 8 years back, you might have seen disks in laptops. For 5 years back also we have disk. Okay, it will read, it will write. Okay, read write process. So you might have read write like for some kind of CDs will be there. So you might have read, I don't know you, but I used to use CDs too much. I used to read the CDs. Okay, so what can so
Yes,
like
sir.
do do we need to read, or do we need to read and write? So for example, read and write in the sense, you can able to rewrite the content, but only if you mention read only. So that read, if you once if you read it, you cannot change it. Okay, that is permanent storage. If you mention read write, you can able to modify. So these action reactions. Okay, so whatever the access, these kind of access. So this can be mentioned while creating the volume with the access mode. Okay, with the access mode we can able to do all these kind of read access or write access, read write access. So these can be done while we are creating the volume. Okay, so how we have to mention by using access mode attribute. Okay, access mode attribute, we can mention read and read write like this. Okay, so I have mentioned here somewhere this one, you see, PVC support different access modes to cater to different types of storage requirements. The common access, read write access. Okay, for the single read write access. Okay, for the single, only for one read access. Okay, and read only many. Okay, for multiple nodes, only read. Okay, and read write for many. So multiple nodes, that is for read write, RWX. This is ROX and this RWO. So which can be done while we are creating this, while we are creating. So with the what attribute it will we have to use, access mode attribute should be we have to use. Okay, next policies. This persistent volume policies, what are the policies? For example, policy in the sense, you might if I mention this word, you might get idea about the policies of IAM. That's not completely exact, but the policies what we have, why we have to create the policies, whatever the custom policies, if you create the policies according to that, we can able to attach. Okay, that is general, I'm telling. If if you allocate the storage dynamically to the pod. Okay, if you allocate the storage dynamically to the pod, if you attach the volume to that pod. Okay, if you attach that volume to the pod, that volume cannot share the pod of life cycle. Okay, so if pod delete, the pod volume should be preserved or or delete. That kind of configurations to handle, we have life cycle reclaim policies, this one. So what I'm trying to say is, for example, policies we have to create, allocate the storage dynamically, we have to allocate the storage dynamically to create to the pod. Okay, for example, if you attach the volume to the pod, that volume cannot share the pod or life cycle. So if the pod is get deleted, that volume should be preserved or delete. So these kind of policies we have to mention example, I'll tell you. Okay, so for example, this is a volume. Okay, this is volume, this is pod for suppose. Okay, okay, so this, the volume you have attached with the pod, but with the policies, delete policy. Okay, or recycle. Okay, or retain. Okay, so for example, these policies I have written. Okay, for example, this pod is going to be deleted for suppose. Okay, at the time, at the time these policies come into the picture. So when, if this pod is getting deleted, so this volume also be deleted, question mark. Or this pod content should be recycled, or this pod should be, this data should be retained. So whenever we are creating the volumes, pods, we have to attach these policies. Okay, so according to that, whenever it get deleted, whatever the data is there, for example, my I have mentioned one policy which is, while deleting the pod, also should be deleted the volume. This is a kind of policy. So whenever this pod get deleted, the volume also get deleted. Okay, so which means I have written the policy, custom policy. You understood? These, by using these policies, we can mention this. For example, if you see independent life cycle, PVR independent of pod of using them. Okay, management life cycle. PV can be managed separately from the pods. Okay, if you want to separate from the pods, you can keep PV. It can be managed separately. Release and reuse. When a pod is no longer needed, it can be released, made available for the reuse. You understood this? Whenever pod is no longer, sorry, whenever a PV is not needed, longer needed, no longer needed, it can be released, made available for reuse. Okay, what are the reclaim policies? Retaining the data, deleting the data, manual re- reclamation. So all these things. So based on these policies, if you apply the, if you apply while creating the volume, when pod is trying to delete, and that will, that exactly that movement Kubernetes will be decided. Okay, so when you are mentioning all these policies, Kubernetes can able to decide itself. Okay, according to this policy I have to act, something like this. You understood? Okay, persistent volumes actually a volume, so that volume, and that can create, and that can attach. Okay, PVC will be useful. Okay, so by taking help of PVC we can attach. You understood? I already mentioned this. So you understood, guys? Any doubts? So I hope I tried very much better. Tell me, guys, any doubts? Pod,
No, sir.
pod is ephemeral. There are chances get deleted the pod. So whatever the data is there, unexpectedly if you lose the data, that will be loss. So by attaching the volumes, maybe if it is a kind of storage, so that volume is, that volume can store the data. Okay, so to save that, okay, to preserve that data, preserve the content, you can use the persistent volume. Persistent volume cannot be deleted along with the pod. If you have unless, unless you mention separate custom policy. Okay, so this is a big advantage. By using volumes we can able to preserve the data. I hope you clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So can we attach a single volume with multiple parts?
Yeah, it's, yeah, we can do that. We can do that, but thing is that that storage should be um, which means if it is very less storage, how can you attach with the multiple pods? That should be
Yes, sir. But
supportive, right?
sir, yes, sir. Yes. So if you attach a single volume with the multiple parts, then if one of the instance is getting down, so if you want to retain that part, then how we can do that, sir?
So for example, if you attach with the multiple pods, so
Okay.
for example, if you attach with the multiple policies, so sorry, pods, so whatever the content is there, that content might be stored in that volume size should be high. If it is volume
Yes.
size must be high, you can do that. Correct. You
Oh,
can
okay.
also retain the
Yes.
data, not a big deal. So but if it is a volume is very less, how can you attach those to particular multiple pods? We can do that exercise while we are doing exercises. While we are doing practical, we can try that also. Whatever doubts you have, you just keep right. So let us
Okay,
do
sir.
one by one. Okay, let us try practically how it is working.
Okay, sir.
Okay, right.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's all. This is very very important concept in the Kubernetes, guys, because till now actually how we have to save the data, which we did not discussed, because it is very much important, because everybody's information, everybody applications, every important information is very high level informations are will be there in the applications, right? The data is very very most important. what Whatever the content is there, that is also important to save the data. So volumes are important. Okay, so persistent in the sense permanently. So whenever whatever you keep in the if you depend on the pods, pod might get deleted anything, so pod might be deprecated. Okay, pod might be expire anytime. So if these kind of scenarios, so we are keeping it as a backup, and we are saving entire content, whatever the content or data if you can say, so that we are storing in the volumes. That is the purpose of volumes. Persistent in the sense, it should not deleted right automatically. Persistent in the sense permanent, one kind of, you understood? That's what. Okay, that's what about the volumes. Yashwant, you are not available second half.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let
Hello.
us.
I'm audible, sir?
Yes, yes, I'm.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So when will you be back, today or tomorrow?
I think by 5 o'clock I will be 5 o'clock I will be back, sir.
Okay.
By
At the time, if I
1:30.
if I get enough free time, so let's connect. Otherwise, I will connect tomorrow. Okay. So let us try.
Yeah, sure,
Let
sir.
us do exercises on these volumes. Uh, Better we can
Yes, sir.
until we get a good understanding. We will do more exercises. Okay. All right.
Okay, sir. Sure.
Okay. Thank you, guys. We'll see you in next class. Until then, take care. Bye bye.
Okay, sir.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you.